I am and was afflicted by Parkinson's disease. On a fateful occasion, in the autumn of 2024, my wife brought me a contact, basically an advertisement for Gondola in a magazine. And my daughter, around the same time, found out that the father of one of her friends also had Parkinson's and was being treated with something that at the time was called Gondola. They suggested I take a look at it. I agreed, even though I'm usually very reluctant about these things, especially when it comes to chemical treatments. But since Gondola is a purely mechanical device and in the worst case scenario, it would simply leave things unchanged, I decided to give it a try. Also, a year ago, specifically in September, at the end of September 2024, I was in much worse condition than I am now, and things were getting worse at an accelerating pace. I came to the office where Stefano, Tassin, and Maurizio were present. They asked me a few questions and then had me put on the standard model of the Gondola device. They adjusted it to fit the size of my feet. They told me, sit on the edge of the examination table and walk. Personally, I thought these people were a bit silly, not to say worse, because if I couldn't walk when I arrived, since I was crawling, dragging myself along the walls, how could I possibly walk 5 minutes late? Wow, I was walking. And I was walking, not perfectly, also because I was scared of the very act of walking. And so it was a pleasant surprise. I tried it again because you always have to try again, as the Croce Academy says if I'm not mistaken, and I decided to put the device back on. Since then I use it every day, also because I have a technical background. If you consider that the gondola stimulations last basically a minute and a half. A minute and a half is 1,000th of the day. So by dedicating 1,000th of your time, you get a benefit. So it's definitely worth it, absolutely. And so now I feel better. I feel better in every way. I walk better. Let's say it was almost impossible to feel worse. I'm more upright. I'm more confident when I'm standing or when I have to start walking, whereas before I was terribly afraid of falling, and I've greatly reduced the leaning Tower of Pisa effect, especially when sitting at the table eating. I'm more upright, whereas before I was leaning at well over 45 degrees. In short, it's a significant improvement. My wife and I now take nice little walks almost every day. Not like the walks we used to take, which were real walks, but still, it seems interesting. So it's a fact you could say that I walk around the house and I don't even use canes anymore. I bring them with me when I go outside, just in case I get tired, and my wife and I walk hand in hand like we did almost 60 years ago, thanks to Gondola.
Family life has changed for the better because before last autumn, I was genuinely and seriously worried because we couldn't do anything anymore. He absolutely didn't want clinics, nothing at all. Our life, his in particular, but also the whole family's. We have 2 children, and especially our daughter Paola was completely turned upside down. We couldn't do anything anymore. I couldn't leave because I would never have left him alone. The help from Gondola was crucial in the sense that he is independent. He has become independent again. He does everything on his own, at his own pace, because the illness is still there. It doesn't go away. But he does everything. He's gone back to helping around the house, doing small things. Gondola has solved so many problems. Really, so many.
But unfortunately, up to now, and this is a criticism of the scientific community, there is only one principle that is considered valid for Parkinson's, and that's dopamine, only dopamine. Instead, Gondola also helps to reduce the intake. Of course, you can't get it down to 0, but compared to what I was taking a year ago, I've reduced my daily dopamine intake by about 30%. My primary care doctor noticed, as did the physiotherapist, even though they didn't know about Gondola. They noticed that I had a significant improvement, so much so that they agreed to prescribe me a lower amount of dopamine. They say that I walk much better. Everyone notices an improvement, and since I experience it every day, I see that I can do more things, but I'm not entirely sure about it, let's say. On the other hand, those who see me periodically, like this nurse who comes once every month and a half, have said that every time my walking improves.
We haven't notified the neurologist who is currently treating him that Paolo is using this Gondola device. And it's amazing because every time we go for a checkup, she is surprised and says, "Oh, wow." And I'm sure it's a bit funny to me. I'm sure they'll attribute it to themselves, to the care they provide, to the physical therapy they have him do. And no, actually, I think they should also ask themselves, but could this guy be doing something? They are perfectly aware of the existence of Gondola. They know about it, but they don't really think he might be doing something. Still, they do recognize the improvement. So the improvement isn't just subjective, it's objective.
A truly significant effect of Gondola is that it was introduced to me by two extraordinary people, Dr. Tassin Stefano and Dr. Versario Maurizio, who are both dedicated to improving the patient's condition. They really want to help people make significant progress. They are generous with advice about how to behave personally, how to walk, and everything else.